Hi, this is Kathleen Wells, host of the Naked Truth Report. And guess what, folks? The Naked Truth Report supports pro-English. And I'd like my truth warriors and mythbusters to support them too. Pro-English is the nation's leading advocate for English as the official language. They advocate for legislation in D.C., on Capitol Hill, in the White House, and in state houses across America in an effort to persuade lawmakers to adopt English as the official language at all levels of government. Right now, Pro-English supports the English Language Unity Act in Congress. And guess what? They're also working with the courts and the Court of Public Opinion to defend English's historic role as America's common and unifying language. 81% of Americans say that English should be the official language of the USA. And that's our position, and we want Congress to act now. Winston Churchill said the gift of a common language is a priceless inheritance. And President Teddy Roosevelt said, we have but one flag, we must also learn one language, and that language is English. So I'm asking you, truth warriors and mythbusters, to join me and the Naked Truth Report in supporting Pro-English today. You can follow Pro-English on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can visit their website at proenglish.org. That's right, proenglish.org. Show them some love.
Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Oh my goodness. Hi, Truth Warriors. It's me, Kathleen Wells, your host of the Naked Truth Report. And this is a pre-recorded show. Why? Because I'm at the town hall. 2018 town hall. I know. Hey, guess what? I'm having a fabulous time. I know. I'm not there yet, but I pre-recorded this show with my new sponsor. I'm so excited to have my new sponsor, the Epoch Times. And I have the general manager and the Director of Strategic Engagement. Did I say that right, Jan?
Yes.
Well, I have two guests here. I have Jan Leeser and the Siyamak am I saying this? Khorrami. Siyamak Khorrami. I'm sorry. Siyamak Khorrami are my guests. They're my new sponsors of the Naked Truth Report. I'm delighted to have them. And guess what? The Epoch Times is something that is truthful. It's not fake news. It's the real deal. And that's what we want to do here at the Naked Truth Report. We want to give you guys the real deal. So I want to encourage my truth warriors and mythbusters to subscribe to the Epoch Times, because you'll get the real information, not the fake news. You'll get the real lowdown dirty on what's going on in the news, what's going on with politics, what's going on with Trump, with the Epoch Times, what's going on with the political landscape and arena with the Epoch Times. You're not going to get fake news like you do with what station do you get fake news? I'm going to say it. CNN is fake news, okay? Because they've been talking about the Trump not responsible for his own economy. Obama has gone around, I think he was in Los Angeles recently, and he went around and told folks that this is a trend that he developed, that he started, and Trump is just taking that trend further up. But I think today, or I don't want to say the date since it's pre-recorded, but I heard this week, or I heard today rather, that the data, that's not accurate. This is specifically looking at the data. This is Trump's trend. The data is clear. It is indisputable that this is Trump's trend. And in fact, I was reading something. This is a data point. Remember, Obama was given $787 billion in stimulus. Where did that stimulus money go? Where did it go? He said it was going to be used for shovel-ready jobs. Well, where are the shovel-ready jobs? I know they're not any in the hood. They're not any in my neighborhood. So, the data cannot be denied if you know the data. There's one thing to say rhetoric, just to say what's going on in your mind, what you want to believe, what you hope to believe. But then the data is another thing. And it's the data cannot be denied that this is not Obama's trend. This is Trump's economy. It's his. He deserves it. He owns it. It's his. He should embrace it, and that's what he's doing. And that's why we want to get folks to vote out, to vote in a Democratic Party, to vote out during the midterm elections, to vote out Democrats, and stick with these Republicans, because we know what Democrats are going to do. They're going to spend the entire midterm election trying to investigate Trump, trying to impeach Trump. No, we don't want that to happen. We want to continue with the trend that we're on now. We want to continue on with this roaring and soaring economy so that all Americans are working and all Americans are in a good position, right? Well, all of this information you can get from the Epoch Times. All of this true information, all of this data, all of the accuracy you can get from the Epoch Times. So now I'm going to bring on my guest, Jan Leeser, who is the Director of Strategic Alliance, Jan Leeser, and Siyamak Khorrami, who is the Director or General Manager of the Epoch Times. So, Siyamak, talk to me. Tell me, why did you start the Epoch Times?
So I didn't start the Epoch Times, just to make that clear. But why did I get involved is because it can change the world. It's the time for us to have truthful reporting. This is going back to traditional journalism. This is going back to the responsibility that journalists have to society. This is going back to doing the right thing. And I got very motivated when I saw the company, what they were doing. And I've grown up in different countries where there's a lot of propaganda. The truth is twisted.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Iran originally.
You're from Iran originally?
Yeah.
And what is it like in Iran?
So,
in terms of political news and journalism, tell me.
So the media is completely controlled by the government. People don't hear the truth. People try to go outside to hear the truth. And I can give you an example. When I was growing up, at that time there was a war between Iran and Iraq. Mm-hmm. And we were told that Iraqis are evil. Mm-hmm. Through the media, through the movies. It wasn't just the media and the news. It was movies and all sorts of different programs. And until I came out of Iran, I met Iraqi people here in the U.S. and they realized they're the same as us. They eat the same food. They have the same religion. They have the same culture. You just speak a different language.
But go back a little bit. When there was the war between Iran and Iraq, why did they say that the people in Iraq were evil? What was that reasoning behind it?
They wanted to motivate the Iranian people to hate Iraqis.
Why,
to go
though?
to war.
Why, though?
And then what they did was, through the process of this war, lingering this war, they were able to solidify their power over the people.
But does it have something to do with the distinctions between Islam? I know some are, I can't think off the head.
The Shiites and Sunnis.
Exactly.
But majority of Iraqis are Shiites.
Right.
And majority of Iranis are Shiites.
Okay.
The people that were in charge of Iraq were Sunnis, but it wasn't about that. I think it was more like the war started, but then the government in Iran, because it just come from a revolution, they wanted to solidify their power. And what they did through it was, a lot of times if they wanted to execute someone, they would take him to war and execute them there. Mm-hmm. And if somebody would complain inside of Iran about how they were running the country, they would say, we're in war. Mm-hmm. You can't say anything. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's how they were able to solidify their power over the country. And that's why we're in this situation now in Iran. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of corruption. There's only one group that's controlling the whole country. Mm-hmm. And people are dying for change. Mm-hmm.
So, Iran is a theocracy, right? That means that the religion is sort of like in control of the country. Is that correct?
I would say it is, but it's a group of people that are controlling the country. Mm-hmm. It's very similar to communism. Mm-hmm. It's strange for me to make this comment, but I've seen very clear similarities between them and communism. Mm-hmm. We're always in revolution. Iran is always in revolution. Mm-hmm. They use violent ways of doing things, mm-hmm. and they have a lot of propaganda. Mm-hmm. And it's a group of people controlling the whole country. Mm-hmm. So they use religion as a tool, but it's really it's behind it. The style of running the country is in a socialist, communist way of.
Exactly. Yeah, and this is interesting that you should say that, because I think 2 weeks ago when I had Chuck and Misha on, my VIP guests, in studio guests, via Chuck and Misha. Misha is from Czechoslovakia. They were talking about the difference between communism and socialism. And today we know that the Democrats have, many of the Democrats who are winning in the primaries are social. They say social Democrats. In fact, they say many of the millennials are embracing socialism. They say socialism is better than capitalism. Jan, I'm going to bring Jan in on the conversation. And as I said, Jan Lieser is the director of strategic alliance for Epoch Times. Jan is from China. So, this is so fascinating, Truth Warriors, that I have someone here from China and I have someone here from Iran. And then the other week, we had someone from Czechoslovakia. See, this is why I want my people to know. I want my people to learn and listen and understand. We've got the real deal here. This is not fake people. These are real people from these countries, okay, folks? So they know, they can tell you what's going on better than anyone, right, Jan? So tell us about China.
Yes, Kathleen. I grew up in China and came to the United States for my graduate school. And I joined the Epoch Times. That's because I totally appreciate, the truthful reporting and, the work I did. And I know so well and so much appreciate the freedom of speech, religion, your own faith beliefs here in the United States rather than in China. And I think still a lot of American people, they may aware or not, the underground Christian church in China, those people were persecuted. And another large group of people is called Falun Gong practitioners. It's the largest persecuted group. It's still going on in China. So I feel so fortunate to be in this country. I can have my own belief, my own practice. And this is how much, I valued and work for the Epoch Times to tell people the truth.
This is so beautiful. You see, the Naked Truth Report is about the truth. My Truth Warriors are about the truth. And what is happening now in the mainstream media? I don't even want to call it the mainstream media. I want to call it the lamestream media. They're lame. They're not telling us the truth. And so this is synergy. We're all coming together. This is all coming together to the point of truth. This is so appropriate that I would be sponsored by the Epoch Times, because I love them, because they're about the truth, and the Naked Truth Report is about the truth. And who better to tell us about what it's like in other countries than people from those other countries, right? That you don't have the First Amendment freedom of speech. It's the First Amendment, the first one, for a reason. Because it's the most important thing. And let me tell you, these Democrats and the media, they work, the media carries the water for the Democrats. They're pushing an agenda. They're pushing an agenda that is not true. If, the truth will always set you free. Listen, if the Democrats had substance, if they were telling the truth, if they had the substance, they wouldn't need the media to push an agenda. They would just tell the truth. And instead, they resort to name calling. These are all ploys and everything, right, Jan? You see ploys by the media, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, to push an agenda that's inaccurate. For instance, they're pushing the agenda that this economy is Obama's economy. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, so let me touch on that. Actually, it's very interesting what you brought up these points. When you go back to the way communist thinking is, socialist communist thinking, and the way of communicating, they make certain terms sound very interesting, but they're not true. So I'll give you an example. Free trade. It's not really free, but it is called free trade. So when you question those terms, then people say you're against free trade. That's very bad. But it's not free trade to begin with. So the media has taking people from universities and different places, and these kind of terms that have come inside the media and brainwashed the people, a lot of them are fake. They're not real. The foundation of them are not real. And this is why I go back to communism, because I think it all starts from there. From disinformation comes from there, and they're very good at creating these terms. And if you look at us, why we would say why Epoch Times and why we can be truthful compared to other media companies. And what we have is we're very good at diving into these terms and recognizing it's called free trade, but is it really free? It's free one way, it's not free the other way. And there's a lot of other things that we can touch on here, which we won't get into right now, but there's a lot of them like that brainwash people. So kids will say, okay, free trade sounds good. You know, what's wrong with that? And so that's unfortunately what has taken over the mainstream media. And now the journalists are thinking that way too. A lot of intellectuals have been brainwashed by these type of terms and fancy things that are not true. And essentially what Yan was touching on is that what happens with socialism and communism, they may have really nice terms, but when they take over, they will control your brain. You won't be able to think. They won't allow you to think. They won't allow you.
You know, so like when you strip away at it, you know, when you get down to the dirty nitty gritty of it, you know, you strip away all that fanciness, you see that there's no substance. There's nothing there. It's vacuous. Right, Yan? Yes. So you're saying that in China, the underground Christian society or organizations are actually suppressed.
Yes.
Isn't that horrible?
It is horrible. People couldn't just read, you know, the Bible, you know, the real Bible. It altered by the government.
And this is horrible. And you know, and you can see that some of that is taking place here in America now.
Exactly. That's why, you know, we feel like we have to tell people the truth, because the Chinese government, you know, the Communist Party, they not just control media in China. They extended that control, you know, overseas, all over the world now. That's why, you know, if you read the article in our newspaper, how the specter of a communism is ruling our world. It's so common. It's the United States, you know. That's why that's why we know better, you know, about.
So in other words, you're the perfect people to sort of dissect the American news.
Yes.
To break it down to its most basic principles and its most honest perception or honest portrayal.
Yes.
You see you get to the kernel of the truth.
Yes.
And so that's so perfect. I mean, I love the fact that my show is called The Naked Truth Report, and you guys are about the truth. Isn't that perfect?
That's perfect.
So it's like meant to be, you know, it's like organic, it was meant to be. So, you know, these things work out perfectly, right? To me, it sounds like we're sort of like on the right track of life. You know, you know, we're on, you know, because we're, you know, they say that, what's that saying? The truth will always set you free. I've always believed that. You know, I'm the kind of person that since I was a little girl, it's like, well, the truth is the only thing that matters. Some people don't feel comfortable with the truth. Yeah. You know, it's so funny that I think Rudy Giuliani said something like, he was on CNN and he said, well, the truth is not the truth. But I knew what he meant, like in the legal system, or like how like the media portrays, you know, you can twist facts to seem like how you were saying that deception about free trade. And you can twist facts to seem like they're the truth, but they're not really the truth when you dig deeper, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So when you dig deeper, you can see that when you get into the facts, because they make them sound really well, but then when you get into the details and you get into the effects of something, then you see how much damage it brings to that country or that population. So I can give you an example. You know, I've been to Vietnam, China, and other communist countries, and when you go to these countries, and I've traveled to countries like South Korea and Japan, and I've seen them. You know, South Korea is a country that we stood up for. Americans fought for it, and then there's North Korea. You know, and you can see the difference even though it seems like what was promised, it was equality, people being good, all
Or like
share.
utopia, like how
Yeah.
utopia, hope and change.
Yeah, yeah, but it's all fake, and that's something that, and that's something that people need to be aware of. And what happens is that if you're aware of the truth, even though if it hurts, you can make changes. You can do better than the house being on fire and you see your bedroom and you don't know about it. And if at least you can run out.
Mm-hmm. And and that's what I try to press upon my community, the Black American community, is that we've had 5 decades of being with the Democrats, and it's like the proof is in the pudding. I give a lot of data point. Like one data point that I gave a few weeks ago was when LBJ was giving the commencement speech at Howard University. In 1965, 66% of Black Americans had 2-parent families. Now today we've gone to 25% 2-parent families. That and I say this all the time, the family is the cornerstone of society. If your family is screwed up, your community is screwed up. You have no family, your community is screwed up. That's just the bottom line. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's just certain basic truths to life and living. And these sort of basic truths, you don't want to screw around with them. There's so much, there are thousands of years of evidence of what works. And so now you have these folks that are the Democrats are trying to say something else. Oh, we hope for this, we wish for that, if this were that, utopia this. This is all speculation. This is all like, an imagination. It's not something concrete which you can sink your teeth into. It's not something real. So we deal with reality. And 5 decades of being with the Democrats have failed Black America. No one can deny that. When you go from in the 40s and the 50s, we had 87% 2-parent families, to today, 2018, we're at 25% 2-parent family. That's failure, folks, okay? There's no getting around it. You cannot finagle that data. I mean, anyone who tries to justify that or rationalize that, they don't have their head screwed on right? So the family is the most important thing in society. So talk about those traditional values, Siyamak.
So this is where media has failed also. Media hasn't put a lot of impact, and they haven't put a lot of care into thinking what they're doing to the society. The media has an obligation to society to uphold the values, and that's something that our paper is working on. We are very big on traditional values. We think that traditional values is what connects people. If you go to China, if you go to Iran, if you go to Mexico, all the places I've lived in, people connect on the same principles. You care about your family, you want your kids to do well, you want your parents to be happy, you respect the elders. These values are what makes us human. And we cannot stay away or step away from them. And that's what our media is doing as well. We're very big on traditional values. We want to bring them back, and we want to promote them in the society. We have that role.
Yes, we want to promote traditional values when we come back from the break. We're going to take a break, but first we're going to we're going to listen to the Ronnie C. Wright Minute. We love that. I mean, it's so exciting. The Ronnie C. Wright Minute. We're going to hear that. We're going to come back from the break, and we're going to talk about these traditional values. And Jan and Siyamak are going to tell me how they got started with the Epoch Times. We'll be right back.
This is the Ronnie C. Wright Minute. Thought-provoking commentary brought to you by PromptJet. PromptJet.com. This week's Timeless Message Award for faith, freedom, family, focus, finance, and fitness goes to the first American to die.
We cannot stay away or step away from them. And that's what our media is doing as well. We're very big on traditional values. We want to bring them back, and we want to promote them in the society. We have that role.
Yes, we want to promote traditional values when we come back from the break. We're going to take a break, but first we're going to listen to the Ronnie C. Wright Minute. We love that. I mean, it's so exciting. The Ronnie C. Wright Minute. We're gonna hear that. We're gonna come back from the break, and we're gonna talk about these traditional values. And Jan and Siyamak are gonna tell me how they got started with the Epoch Times. We'll be right back.
This is the Ronnie C. Wright Minute. Thought-provoking commentary brought to you by PromptJet. PromptJet.com. This week's Timeless Message Award for faith, freedom, family, focus, finance, and fitness goes to the first American to die in the Revolution, Crispus Attucks, a black man from Boston who gave his life for liberty with faith, Faith, forging ahead into the haze as a light of freedom shining bright on a hill for all Americans. Thanks, Crispus Attucks, for sacrificing it all and being a living town hall. Back to you, Kathleen.
This is the Naked Truth Report. I'm your host, Kathleen Wells.
Tired of fake news from newspapers you can't trust? Now there's a newspaper that's fair and balanced, upholding a moral society grounded in virtue, the Epoch Times. Epoch is the new era in newspapers, offering a new vision of the New York-style traditional newspaper, delivering fair and balanced journalism on the presidency, American news, and world affairs, exclusive news from China you won't find anywhere else, plus arts and culture, mind and body, travel, and more. Epoch Times tirelessly chases the truth, presenting a clear, objective view of events, allowing you to draw your own conclusion. Subscribe to the Epoch Times in print or digital. Log on to readepoch.com. That's readepoch.com. Or call 888.
With Epoch Times, and Siyamak Khorrami is the general manager of Epoch Times, and we were talking about traditional values. But first, let me tell you, I want you guys to know where you can go and get the Epoch Times. It's even though it's spelled Epoch, I would say that's Epoch, but it's pronounced Epic. That's how they do it. So it's spelled Epoch, but it's pronounced Epoch Times. And you can subscribe to the Epoch Times in print or digital by logging on to readepoch.com. So that's readepoch, Epoch.com. Readepoch, Epoch.com. Or you can call the paper at 888-853-4774. That's 888-853-4774. The truth you seek, the features you want at the Epoch Times. The truth you seek, letting the sun shine in, letting the disinfectant permeate throughout the land is the Epoch Times. So, Jan, talk to me about these we want to go back to traditional values of the family, or do you want to take it? Which one of you want to take it?
Okay, yeah, I can start first.
Okay.
Yes. We talk about, as Chinese, we talk about Chinese culture is divine culture. We always believe God, right? It doesn't. Most of Chinese people, they are Buddhist. We do believe if you do good, you will get rewarded, right? And if you do something bad, you get punished. That's kind of like the law, right? So, as probably a lot of people know about, almost since the Chinese communist regime, took the power in China over 60 years ago, almost every 10 years, there's like a moment. It's called culture. The famous one is a Chinese Red Cultural Revolution.
Culture Revolution.
Yes, that's happened in 1966 to 1976. Where I was a little girl back then, but I still remember temples were destroyed, even Confucius, his books, templates, it's all destroyed.
Destroying religion.
Yes. And then another 10 years, it just finished. Then another 10 years, 1988, the famous Tiananmen massacre.
Tiananmen massacre.
Yeah,
yes,
the
I remember that when the young boy was in front of the tank.
The tank man.
Right.
Yes, right. And so everyone knows about it.
That's
right?
an iconic picture. Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And the whole world knows the picture, but Chinese, the Communist Party, they said we didn't kill one student.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, thousands of people were killed. And then another 10 years, 1999, that's July 20th, the largest, spiritual group, it's called Falun Dafa. More than 100 people. 100 million people.
100 million people. It's called Falun Dafa.
Yes. Practice, this Asian spiritual practice.
Asian spiritual practice, yeah.
It just by, doing slow movement exercise and meditation, it's really connect your body and mind. It benefit, both physically and mentally.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with seeing that mind, but that movement, those slow movements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. People just do it in the park in the morning, right? And it's a great. It's a stress release and very peaceful as a harmony. But the Chinese communist regime, they are atheists. They don't believe in God. They don't believe, in divine. They feel like, okay, they just see these good people as their enemy. They feel like they could threaten the power. So that's how the, persecution started. So that's, how I see. Wow, it's a huge difference. Our traditional culture were destroyed. And what left is just what the communist propaganda, to brainwash people.
And see, these traditional values, the spirituality is important. These are things that humanity, human beings seek meaning.
Yes.
And one way that they find meaning is through their spirituality or religious beliefs. I think man asks throughout time immemorial, what is the meaning of life?
Exactly.
Yeah.
When we were young, I think everyone we have that experience, right? When we were young, we said, where are we from? What this life is meaning, right?
Right. Yeah, that's I think throughout life, human beings ask, why am I here? What is the meaning of this? They search for meaning, and that gives their life fulfillment.
Yes.
And I think what the liberal ideology and socialism and communism sort of alienates man. They don't give them purpose or reason. And so they latch on to all this meaningless bullcorn, like we have 66 genders. These are like, majoring in the minors. Yeah. These things are like meaningless, arguing, Obama making it a big deal that boys and girls have to share the same bathroom. Things like this is like meaningless, okay? So let's talk about, please tell me, Siyamak, how did the Epoch Times get started? Talk about that start.
So it was in right after this persecution of Falun Gong, Falun Dafa, it was a very peaceful movement in China, and it's a spiritual practice that believes in living by truth, compassion, tolerance, putting others first, and gentle, slow movement exercises. There was 100 million people practicing it, and when it got persecuted, our newspaper was born. To tell the truth to Chinese people, because what happened was not only the practice got persecuted, the Chinese government created a lot of lies. And the founder of the paper, John Tang, he was a Chinese American. He was living here, and he saw what happened in Tiananmen Square. He saw what happened to Falun Gong, and he decided to tell the truth to Chinese people, and quickly became the only newspaper that's providing truthful content to Chinese people. And a lot of and over the years, in 2004, Stephen Gregory joined to start the English paper. And the reason we started the English paper was because we couldn't get any media to cover this persecution. And it sounded ridiculous.
That's curious, huh?
Yeah, if you can't get any media to...
I wonder why wouldn't the media cover that? Why do you think?
So there is a difference. So it's very interesting, and you can see the decline of the media through this process. So in '88, when the Tiananmen Square massacre happened, the media covered it. At that time, they didn't have a lot of business with China. But when '99 happened, there was a lot more opportunity to do business with China. And they knew this is a big issue for China. If they cover it, they won't be able to do business with China. So that's why they didn't cover it. And this is where we found there is a problem with media. And so we started different language editions, and we have now about 23 languages, and we're in 35 countries.
23 languages, 35 countries. So you found out that the media is biased.
Absolutely. When you see things like this, when innocent people are getting killed for no reason.
And you don't tell it.
And it's not told.
Yeah.
You know, so there's more to I can get into they're doing organ harvesting to these prisoners. They're doing a lot of things. And we had a House resolution pass on that. And
who had a House resolution?
In the U.S., we had a House resolution, 343, against organ harvesting of prisoners of conscience, which are the practitioners of Falun Dafa in China. And in the resolution is saying that the government, and it's done by the Chinese government. And it's clear in the resolution, and we got maybe the media had maybe half a paragraph on it. And so that's where the founders of the media decided to enough is enough. We need to tell the truth to people. And if you're not covering this, you're not covering a lot of other issues.
Yeah, and that's so interesting because every now and then I see things about organ harvesting. I don't know much about it, but if I go on the internet, I hear about organ harvesting taking place here, there, and everywhere, certain places, but I don't know enough about it. So it's actually, that stuff is actually going on.
Yeah, you should look at the House Resolution 343. And so there was allegations.
And so they're they're taking out people's organs and selling them on the black market. Is that it?
Not the black market. So it's very sad. In 2006, there were allegations that the Chinese government is doing this to prisoners of conscience. And 2 human rights lawyers from Canada started investigating this. And they found 50-something counts of evidence that this is happening. And the government would do this to prisoners of conscience, and they would sell the organs through the hospital system.
Oh.
It's and a lot of people would go and try to get transplants in China. They thought that there's a lot of people there, and people are willing to sell their organs, but it was really the prisoners.
So they would take out their liver and sell it to someone who needs a new liver.
Yeah, it's very sad because the people would be alive.
And so the hospital would be in cahoots with this, right?
Yes. There was doctors. If you look this up, you'll see a lot of interesting evidence that the doctors that were involved and
military too.
Yeah.
Military?
Different people.
Isn't that sad? I mean, when I hear stories like this, I get so disappointed in human nature. Do you know?
Actually, human nature is good.
You think?
We do believe in human nature. It's all kind, but just the system, make people.
The system.
I don't know if human nature is good. In this, I hear Dennis Prager talk about this because there's so many instances. You must have values.
Well, that's what happens
to be good. You must have standards to be good, but the inclination for human nature is, I think, avarice and greed and jealousy.
This is where
that's a natural inclination.
This is where
because there's too much going on bad all over the world.
Yes.
But this is where the governments come in. Like when communism took over in China, what they did is they destroyed the traditional values, and they told people don't know what's good or bad anymore.
Right.
To that point.
Exactly.
Whatever the Chinese Communist Party is saying is good. That's what they're told. And then if you're supposed to kill someone to sell their organs, well, you're doing it for the Communist Party.
Right.
Okay. And so that's where it's like when you take the values away from people.
Exactly. When you take the spirituality,
yes,
the asking for the meaning of life, when you take that away from people, which socialism is like one step towards communism.
Yes.
And you see we have these Democrats today running on socialism. They're so confused. They don't know.
Yeah.
They're not deep in their understanding and knowledge of what's going on. They lack the depth of knowledge. And this is why we love the Epoch Times, because you're going to talk about it in the paper, how the Democrats are wrong-headed, right?
Well, you know, some of the things we've done that's very unique is that we pointed out to trade problems in 2011. And we also predicted that Mr. Donald Trump will be the president of the country because of our reporting, because we really look at things in a factual way. We don't have any political stance. You know, we're not a political organization. We don't have any agendas. We just want to tell the truth to people and preserve the traditional values. And through the process, the audience can see what's really going on, and then they can vote or they make decisions. And if they read our paper, they'll see what truly is going on right now.
I can't encourage enough for my Truth Warriors to subscribe to this paper, because this is the real deal. This is the real deal. We've gone through, we've examined it, and we know why they're real, because they've come from countries where it is communist or a theocracy. And, we're learning that Siyamak is telling us that Iran is even though it's a theocracy, it's similar to communism. This, I study, I have a degree in political science, but I didn't learn this stuff. I think at school they sort of lean towards liberalism, liberal ideology. And liberal ideology has destroyed Black America. I want my truth word. I want Black America to get this information. And I want, I was in the bank today and I was telling a guy to listen to my station, a Black guy. A lot of Black folks don't know my show. And they need more in Los Angeles need to listen to the show because they need to learn this stuff. Most Black Americans are not traveling to Iran or China or North Korea. They don't know what's going on. They haven't lived in these systems, so they're just talking about theories. Yes. We have the practical application, people who have lived under this. And just like Misha was talking about living under Czechoslovakia, this is so important. I mean, I think it's so important, don't you?
Yes. The other thing is a lot of the values, American values, they're very beautiful. This country is set up correctly. The Constitution, the freedom of speech, all the other, and I can give you some personal examples. There's a lot of unique things about America that's not getting promoted, that people don't talk about. This is the only country where you fail, you can tell people, hey, I made a mistake. And people say, it's okay, you can try again. You can even go to the same VC that funded you and you failed and lost their money, and they may give you another chance. This is a country where...
what is that? You can't do that in Iran?
A lot of other countries you can't do that. Once you lose your reputation, you're done. And you don't have second chances in a lot of other countries. This is a very open-minded country. You can come from any country, you can look however you look, and people will treat you the same. The legal system will treat you the same. And you don't get these things the rest of the world. And the people that believe that other places, and China is doing great and these other countries are doing great, they don't know enough. They haven't been there. And what unfortunately, because of those ways, we can go back to this information, like the intellectuals are very good at fooling intellectuals with these terms, with these fancy terms. Unfortunately, the intellectuals fall for it. They don't appreciate the American values. The American values are very strong, freedom of...
but it's just theory. In other words, in the universities, academicians are talking about a theory. Yes. What we hope for. Obama hoping, what we wish for, the utopia. But where's an example of that? I guess some would say, Northern Europe, like Sweden or some, don't you think? But I don't think that. What do you think? Have you been to Sweden?
I haven't been to Sweden. I can't comment on that.
I've been to Norway actually. That's a high, well-filled, benefited country. Actually, I have a relative living there, and before they feel like, it's just so great. We're good enough to help people, right? Especially to help those who in need. But later on, they found a problem, a big problem. Yeah, it's kind of like that's how I think back a few years ago, the big, the Norwegian guy, he shoot, many students on an island.
Oh, I
don't know.
remember that.
Yeah, you remember that
Yeah,
one?
I remember
that's
that.
Exactly, that's because, people, they just express their anger and their, opinion to how the government, treat those people. Yeah.
He was
Asylum.
alienated for some reason. He was
Yes.
like a terrorist. He went to that school and shot up I can't talk on it
Yes,
because I don't know enough.
So I know a little bit about the Europe situation in general.
Yeah.
Is that the opportunities that exist in the U.S. For someone like me that came from Iran is 10 times more than Europe.
Okay.
Europe is a staled economy and society. Like when you come in, you stay in a certain class. You don't have a chance to work hard and make things happen because you're going to get taxed, and you are either rich or you're not, and then you cannot work your way through. And there's a lot of limitations. Yes.
Yeah, no upward mobility.
Yes.
There's sort of like a hierarchy and also the Northern European countries are very homogenous, although you have migration taking place, but they're smaller and they're homogenous. We have diversity here, and I think this is the thing that I talk about. We're importing so many illegal aliens who have like an 8th grade education. A country cannot be sustained like that with socialism when you're importing so many poor people. We have over 12 million illegal aliens. So this California governor wants to give free health care. The guy who's Newsom, who's running to be the governor, he wants to give free health care to all these illegal aliens. We can't sustain that. It's not unsustainable. But anyway, we have 2 more minutes, and I want you guys to close out. I've been speaking with my new sponsors of the Naked Truth Report, the general manager Siyamak Khorrami, who is from Iran, and he's now are you an American citizen?
Yes.
He's now an American citizen, and he's the general manager. And Jan Lieser, who is the director of strategic alliance with the Epoch Times. Are you an American citizen now? Oh my! So they're both American citizens. Well, congratulations! Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have 1 more minute. We're going to close out. I want you to just take 30 seconds and close out. Jan.
This is a great opportunity, to just talk about the Epoch Times, and wish people check out, read Epoch Times.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, we would love you guys to support us. Whoever that's listening, we need your help. We need to take the paper to the next level, and your subscription not only will give you the truthful reporting, but also it will help us to build our local content and take us to the next level.
Thank you very much. This is Kathleen Wells, host of the Naked Truth Report. That's the Epoch Times, my new sponsor. Read Epoch Times by logging on to Read Epoch Times, EPOCH.com. I'm Kathleen Wells, your host of the Naked Truth Report. Thank you very much. See you next week.
Oh, beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife. Who more than self their country loved.